All right, we'll go ahead and get started with our agenda and logistics while we wait for other people to join. My name is Lydia, and I work at Austin Water in the Public Information Office, and I am here to help any of you with Zoom logistics. And so first I'll go over how to, for those of you joining on a cell phone, how you'll be able to ask questions. So I'll go over welcome and logistics. Then we'll do our project team introductions. We'll go over the project with the project overview. Then we will have a set time for Q&A. And so those of you that are joining on a cell phone, I'll let you know how you can ask questions. Those of you on a computer or a tablet, you'll also be able to ask your question by talking or typing, and then we will conclude the meeting. So for our Zoom logistics, some of you, this is for those of you that are joining on your tablet or your computer. At the bottom of your video screen, you can scroll over it with your mouse or your finger and you'll see the chat button or the chat box, and you can click that, and at any time throughout this meeting you can chat, let us know any comments you have. You can also type if you're having issues or need anything, so feel free to use the chat. It is best if you do have a question for that Q&A time to submit your question as a Q&A by clicking that Q&A button. Now, you should see that to the left of the chat button. If you don't want to type in your question and you'd rather just speak it to us, you will see a raise hand button also at the bottom of your Zoom screen. So if you click the raise hand button, that will let me know that you have a question, and I'll let you know before I unmute you. So you'll be able to speak your question. Now, for those of you that are calling in on a phone, you'll be able also to raise your hand and let me know that you want to be unmuted by dialing *9, and then it will prompt you to dial *6 to raise your hand to ask your question. Or actually, it might be *6 and then *9. Well, I'll let you know. I'm going to double check on that. And when we get to the Q&A section, me or Emily will let you know. I believe it's *9. Emily, do you remember?
Thanks, Lydia. I think we have those instructions on the slide when we get to the Q&A section.
Oh, perfect.
So yeah, I think we'll be able to cover that then. We mostly want you to know at the beginning of the meeting that, if you join from a computer or through the phone, you'll have a chance to ask questions or to provide feedback. So yeah, thanks, Lydia, for getting us started. And I'm gonna just I think we're ready to move on to the next slide, and we're gonna do team introductions. So we'll start with our project manager. Demira, will you get us started?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming into the meeting for the Springdale 290 Waterline Project. I'm Demira Wyatt, and I'm the project manager from Public Works for the City of Austin. Next, we have Ms. Kimberly Morales.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Morales, and I'm with Construction Management Division, and I will be the inspector out there on the ground every day. Hopefully, if you need anything, you'll be able to find me out there along your streets and roadways.
Hello, everybody. I'm Joe Hepkin, Austin Water Distribution System Engineering, supervising engineer. I'm the project sponsor for this very important project. Next up, I'll turn it over to George with the contractor.
George, you're on mute, so you got to unmute and start again.
I think we're good now. Hi, everyone. My name is George Lopez, not the comedian. I am a project manager for Austin Underground. We are the general contractor that will be on this 290 Waterline improvement project. So if you guys have any questions, I'll be working directly with Demira and Kimberly, and you will see my guys out on the roadways.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ruben Lopez. I am a supervising engineer with the Public Works Department, and I am the engineer of record on the documents there, the construction plans that we will be constructing.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kuong Nguyen. I'm with the Public Works Department. I'm the designing engineer on this project.
Thank you, everyone. And I'm Emily Chancellor. I'm in Austin Water's Public Information Office, and I will be helping the project team with communications for this project. So I'll be sending out email updates and providing communications throughout the construction period. I appreciate you all being here. So we're going to get into our project overview now and let our project manager give you some information about the project. So Demira, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Emily. And as the project overview, the project will install 2 pressure reducing valve stations along US 290 to reduce water pressures in the residential areas along Springdale Road and Chimney Hill Boulevard. Within residential areas along Springdale, the project will also replace water lines that have a history of repeat breaks and 2-inch water lines and eliminate dead-end water lines. New valves, fire hydrants, and other water line features will be installed to meet current code requirements. Construction is expected to start in November 2021 this year and take about 18 months to complete. This slide shows an overview of the location map for the project, and it just shows the residential streets where we will be installing the water lines and where the project goes along Highway 290. And what to expect during construction. The contractor, Austin Underground, they will use heavy equipment to dig trenches for the new water lines. The roads will be patched after the line is installed, and all roads will be repaved at the end of the project. As far as the construction phases, crews will work in front of your property a number of times to complete each phase of the project, including excavation, pipe installation, temporary paving, testing, repairs if necessary, and final paving. Moving on into the right-of-way, most work will be limited to the right-of-way. In many cases, the right-of-way is located between the street and the sidewalk in an area that you may consider to be part of your lawn. It may be necessary for you to remove landscaping or other personal items in the right-of-way before your new water service line is connected to your water meter. And this picture shows just the water, the meter box and where the water line service goes into a front of a property. As far as traffic, in some cases, streets will be closed and detours will be provided. You will always have access to your home for brief periods. Driveway access may be limited, but as I said, you'll always have access to your home, and it'll just be a matter of the contractor identifying and working with you to make sure that you have access to get in and out. At some point, your water will be turned off to connect to the new line, but most likely just for a few hours on a single day. We will notify you via flyers posted on the door prior to turning off the water. Emergency outages are possible should a water line break during construction. So our construction team will be working to pass out those notices anytime we'll have any type of shutouts or need to turn off the water. And as the last sentence says, any type of emergency situation, it will be prepared as soon as possible, and we'll notify you all as well as best as we can in an emergency. The work hours for the project are Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. through 4:30 p.m. in residential areas. And along the US 290 portion of the project, it's from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. Monday through Friday, but some weekend work may take place. Emily, does this go back to you now?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that overview. So I will just highlight that we will send email updates out as the project progresses, And Lydia, if you can help me by putting this link in the chat for our attendees. So we have a project webpage dedicated to this project at austintexas.gov/Springdale 290. And that page has the map, it has the fact sheet, and there's also a link on there. And if you click that link and give us your email address, then you'll be contacted with project updates directly. And then Demira did mention this. Kimberly on our team, who introduced herself earlier, or someone in her group will pass out these notices 48 hours in advance when there's a planned water shutoff. So we just want to emphasize that we will give you some warning on those so that you have time to fill up some pitchers and kind of prepare for your water to be out temporarily for a short period of time. And if there is an emergency outage, then, you know, they'll work quickly to get it repaired and get it up and running. So we are coming to the end of our planned presentation, and here's those instructions that Lydia was talking about earlier. So if you joined by phone and you want to speak to ask a question, then you can press *9, and then Lydia will on the back end unmute you, and you'll hear some prompts to press *6 then when you start to speak. And if you're on the computer, you can start typing in your questions now in that Q&A box, or just use the raise your hand if you want to speak instead of type in your question. And again, Lydia and I will be watching to make sure everyone has their opportunity to ask questions or give their feedback. And now is the time to do that. So we'll wait for that first question to come in and we'll start having this dialogue. While we're waiting for questions to come in, I did just want to mention we'll provide, I'll go ahead and click to the project contact information. So Demira and Kimberly Morales and myself are your primary project team contacts. And Kimberly, like she said in her introduction, will be out there on site most days, and she has provided a cell phone number. You can text her or call her, and she wanted to make sure you know that you'll need to leave a message and she will call you back. So she gets calls on a lot of projects. So if you'll just leave a message, tell her where you live, then she'll get back with you very quickly. Kimberly, do you want to add anything to that?
Yes, ma'am. I just noticed that the area code is incorrect. It is 512.
Oh my goodness, that's me. Okay. I'll try to get that fixed and then get that back up. Sorry about that.
And while you're doing that, we do have one question in so far. Let me know.
Oh, good. Lydia, go ahead and read that, will you, while I get this back up?
Yeah, so the first question is from Joyce, and it says, will you coordinate with Travis County Sheriff for traffic control? So I don't know who wants to take on that one.
I could take on that one since that'll be part of our direct responsibility. So there'll be a coordinated effort both with the city and Travis County in regards to sheriffs. There is a traffic control plan in which us as the general contractor shall follow for closing any kind of lanes along the access road there for 290. And as we go up Springdale, it will be in phases as the traffic control calls out for within the engineering plan. So we will follow those plans where police are required. Then yes, there will be coordination with Travis County Sheriffs and Austin PD to help coordinate with that traffic. Most of it will be detouring lanes and closing particular lanes and having cones and barriers up to move people from maybe 2 lanes to 1 lane and keeping traffic flowing. So we do have an engineered plan, but yes, we will be coordinating both with the city of Austin and Travis County. This particular area falls within the ETJ of the city of Austin. So we just got to get the right authority there, but we'll be working with both the county and the city.
Thank you. Emily, you want me to keep reading these or do you want to?
I think did I get my screen back up?
Yep.
Okay, got that corrected.
And our next,
All right.
the next one that came in is actually somebody on the phone. So
Yeah, let's go to them. Thank you, Lydia.
okay, so this is, I'm going to go ahead and click allow to talk, and they should hear prompt in just a second. All right, you're on.
Thanks. You may have just answered this question, but I wondered what the general progression of the project is going to be. For instance, are you going to start along US 290 and work north, or will it be a more random progression?
So looking at the project, and I know you guys haven't seen all the details, our main focus when we first start this project, and I think this may answer a subsequent question in regards to a timeline and schedule. We're still producing the actual schedule now. There will be some directional bores and digging underground that will be happening along Highway 290. So that's going to be the main area in which we're going to start as material and things of that sort come in. So we are planning to do the directional bores first to start the project, and then we will skirt along 290 and work our way north along Springdale is our proposed plan at this particular moment. And so, yeah, we'll start with directional bores along 290, do what we need to do there, and then work our way up Springdale and kind of hit each, as we come up to each street, kind of hit them as they come.
Thank you. Good.
Thanks for providing that information, George. And I just want to mention that we will send updates through the email that I mentioned that you can sign up for. So the contractor provides a schedule, and sometimes that has to change. And so we will provide updates when they're moving to a new phase and to a new section. So we'll keep you updated throughout the construction on that. All right, Lydia, does the caller have another question while you're on the line? Do you want to ask anything else?
No, I don't. Thank you very much for
Okay.
answering that.
Sure. Thanks for being here this evening. We appreciate it. All right, Lydia, I'm going to just start in on the Q&A questions, and I see we have some in the chat too. So we'll get
they all
through
came
these.
in at once, so that's
Yeah.
fine.
So Lori is asking a similar question. Is there a proposed schedule of when each street will be closed? And yeah, we have another question about where is the starting place. So I think, George, you've addressed that. So we know where we'll start, and we'll keep you updated through that email list to let you know if there's any changes and how the project is progressing. Our next question is, what kind of repair will there be to the streets? Will it be tar? So I guess this question is about the method for repaving. So George, are you familiar with that? Or maybe Ruben, are you familiar with the specs on that?
Yeah, so it will be asphalt, which is what is called out for within the plans. We will start with doing temporary trench repair as we fill the water line. So there'll be temporary asphalt to begin with, and then at the end of the project, as we come back and pave the roads, then we'll pick it up, full width. So it'll be new. So as you see throughout the phasing of the project, you'll see something temporary as we put the water line in and move to the next phase. And then we'll come back and start to pave everything that is required per the plans. But there should not be like tar just laying on the streets around the trenches that you would allow you to drive on it and then get picked up. We'll make sure that we have the barriers up, and then once the asphalt becomes drivable and has hardened enough, then we'll open those areas so you can actually drive on them. So we try to reduce that as much as possible, because we know sometimes the oil that gets spilled before or gets put out before you actually pave, if people drive over it, it tends to stick on their tires. So we try to reduce that as much as possible.
Thank you. Anyone else on the team have something to add to that? I'm not seeing any hands raised, so I'll move on to the next question. So Mary is letting us know most of us have mailboxes in that parking slash easement area. They will not be bothered, correct? So can someone speak to plans for the mailboxes that are there?
Yes, that's correct. This is a Gungwin. Yeah, most of the mailbox will not be disturbed during the construction.
All right. Then Lori is asking, what is the date for the project will start? What date are we expecting to start in November? And I'm not sure if we're able to give a specific date tonight. If you have an estimate, maybe we could give a range. And again, we would be sending an email out. We would work to do that the week before construction is starting. Demira or George, do we have a sort of estimate that we want to give,
So
or would we?
anticipated time frame would be the end of November, first or second week of December. Just kind of getting through a lot of the official paperwork and things of that sort that in order to get kicked off.
Thank you. All right. So I'm moving to some questions that are in the chat if the project team wants to follow along. Mary says, we thought we already had reducing valves. Are these new ones? Joe, is this something you can address?
Yes, I can address this. Again, this is Joe Hepkin, Austin Water. So Mary, I think, are you referring to your individual pressure reducing valve at the meter? That's my interpretation of your question. But we will be installing 2 system reducing stations. One is going to be located at Springdale and 290, and the other will be at Chimney Hill and 290. And so what that's going to do is reduce pressures in both neighborhoods by about 60 PSI or so. I think everybody that lives in this area realizes that the static pressures are quite high in the neighborhoods. And so this project has been long coming and getting it to construction. So, and I think I'm sort of answering the next question as well. So, we're going to address the high pressure. So, but I believe all houses in this area should have individual PRVs. If you don't, then your plumbing's subject to 150 PSI or so. So I would think everybody has individual PRVs. And after the project, you probably still want to have those in operation, because we're going to reduce the pressure by about 60 PSI or so, but it's still going to be, maybe a little high for plumbing fixtures, but we're going to get it to an acceptable level within the system. And so
Joe,
just to kind of go ahead.
I was just going to ask a follow-up. So once these system pressure reducing valves are in place, will individual homeowners need to make any adjustments on their PRV that's at their meter or on their property?
I don't believe so. I think whatever the setting is now probably can just remain to whatever it's set at. So with these 2 PRV stations, what it's accomplishing is it's creating a new pressure zone within our system. So right now, the houses currently are served by the north pressure zone. The next lowest pressure zone from that is central, which is on the south side of 290. But if they were put onto central, the pressures would be too low. So we're going into basically a middle spot between the 2 pressures. 2 pressure zones. So we're creating a new pressure zone just for those 2 areas.
Okay. Someone here says that the pressure at their house is pretty low. Will I notice any change?
It sounds like, so let me see here. That might be related to individual PRV setting. I guess, Miss England, do you have an address, or what street are you on?
Yeah, if you, Ms.
So that would
England, if
help
you want
out.
to, like through the chat, send it just to the panelist, you could send us your address and also a way to contact you, and we could follow up with you individually. Or if you want to just tell us your street, then maybe Joe can take a look at that. And someone here has asked if they'll need to have their private PRVs reevaluated after the project. So Joe's already addressed that he thinks the setting you have on there now should continue to be adequate. Okay, Ms. England is saying that she's on EK lane.
Okay, so that the static pressures at your meter, they're going to be, let me take a look here in our system.
Should I move on to
quite
it?
high. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Were you going to look something up? Do you want me to move on to something
Oh,
else?
no, it just took me a
Okay.
split second just to do
Oh,
a
you're
quick
so fast.
Well, it's just the operations web map. So yeah, the system pressures on EK Lane and all the surrounding streets are going to be quite high. So it sounds like to me that's a PRV setting. That's maybe it's too low. So that sounds like perhaps Miss England, if you have a plumber that's you've worked with in the past, sounds like they might need to adjust that PRV.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate that. All right, I think those are all the pressure sort of questions I'm seeing. So I'm going to move on to some other topics. Lydia, is there any, am I good to keep asking these questions?
Yeah, Terry had their hand raised, but then they lowered it, so they might be good. But yeah, just keep going.
Okay, we'll keep going. We'll make sure to get to everyone. So I have a few questions here about traffic. Will traffic up and down Springdale north of 290 continue to be possible? So are design engineers maybe able to speak to the traffic control plan there on Springdale?
Yes, we only close one lane, so the traffic still open.
Okay, thank you. So we'll just
Yeah,
close one lane at a time.
And one thing to notice is just the hours in which we'll be actually operating that were up earlier. You know, for us, the city likes to keep those hours, you know, a little bit after rush hour, and then right before that 5 o'clock hour. So we'll be working diligently between those hours. And again, within city policy, if those times change, we'll make sure to notify and things of that sort. So.
Thank you. And then we have a question, will noise abatement pavement be used on Springdale?
Hi, this is Ruben Lopez. No, the type of pavement will be the standard HMAC, or hot mix asphaltic concrete.
Okay, we also have another question about repaving here. Will any attempt be made to improve drainage when repaving? In the past, repavement has resulted in higher streets and impediment to drainage in some areas. And they're talking about, I'm probably going to pronounce the street name wrong, Quiet Drive?
Yeah, so the plans don't, these construction plans aren't addressing drainage issues per se. However, as part of the repaving, we will be milling your roadway and then reapplying asphalt. So we'll be removing what's there now and applying a fresh coat of asphalt.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a follow-up question. I think, Joe, you might need to come back on and talk about pressure. I'm not sure if I understood your response about how blessed with water pressure and how we will be affected by the project. So maybe just go
see if I
through
can
that.
explain this a little bit better.
Yeah.
So currently the two neighborhoods, along Springdale Road and also along Chimney Hill Boulevard, they are served by our north pressure zone. And so the north pressure zone is gravity fed from a couple of water tanks. And those elevations of those water tanks are such that that's why you're seeing the high pressures in these two neighborhoods. And so what we're doing is with these two pressure reducing valve stations that are going to be located at 290 in Springdale and then also 290 in Chimney Hill, it's going to effectively reduce the pressure downstream of those pressure reducing valve stations into both of those neighborhoods. So effectively, it should reduce the pressure at the meters for each property in these two neighborhoods by about 60 psi. Maybe not an exact number, but approximately 60 psi. So if you have an individual PRV that's been working this whole time, you shouldn't have to make any adjustments to that. So it's really to reduce the system pressure so that we have experienced fewer breaks in the future. We've had quite a few breaks, as those of y'all that have lived here quite a while probably have seen on our water pipelines. And so that's, this, like I said earlier, this project is quite a bit overdue due to the high risk for leakage in these two neighborhoods. So hopefully that explains what we're doing related to pressure. Not, just please let me know and I can try to clarify again.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate that. Another question about pavement. Ms. England says, the pavement in front of my house has been resurfaced multiple times, resulting in a steep dip to get into my driveway. Will the new surface make the difference between street and gutter even more pronounced?
Hi, this is Ruben. As I mentioned earlier, the proposed paving associated with this project is such that we will mill the residential roadways, which is essentially removing the top layer of asphalt and then coming through with a fresh layer of asphalt. So in effect, it shouldn't make the I guess your problem more pronounced. That is my hope. So, but it shouldn't. If we're removing what's there, or the top portion of asphalt that's there, and then relaying with a new layer of asphalt. So I hope that answers your question.
Thanks, Ruben. And this is always something when we get to that end of the project. Ms. England, you can always contact the project team and ask them to take a look at it before, when we send out the announcement that repaving is coming up. So it's good for us to know about these kind of concerns. So Lydia, have I covered all the questions from what you see? And is there anyone of our attendees who would like to speak or ask more questions?
Covered it from what I see, and right now nobody has their hand up.
Okay. So I want to ask the project team if there's anyone who'd like to cover anything that we may have missed or any thoughts you have in your mind.
Kimberly, unmuted. Good.
Yeah, I would like to reiterate to all of the neighbors out there that I am going to be out there and I am your advocate to work with you and help you to find all that you need and to make this project just a really nice, pleasant experience. So if there's anything going wrong or any issues that you have, I have the entire team back there helping me to make sure that we provide you with the best product. Just come find me. I'm going to be out there in my little white SUV. You're going to not miss me at all. It's labeled City of Austin all over. And I'm going to do my best to help you out and to listen to what you've got. And I will make sure I present it to everybody on the team and get you the answers you need. That's my job, is to make sure that you have what you need out there.
Thank you, Kimberly. We appreciate you so much. And you and your colleagues who do this work really help make construction all over the city go more smoothly for our residents. We know this will be disruptive. Kimberly, in her role, will help to make it, the disruption as least as she can. And I just have so much respect for her and her colleagues. They do such great work around the city. Okay, we have a couple of questions. And did we have someone raise their hand, Lydia?
Not that
No.
I see.
Oh, okay. Maybe it was Kimberly.
Mhm.
All right. I have another question in. With the new water lines coming in, is it possible for small debris like sand or pebbles to get into our residential plumbing? So who wants to
Oh,
take this?
I'll go with it. So as part of our process, Terry, when we put in new water lines anywhere across the city, it is our responsibility to flush those lines before they actually become active. One, to ensure that nothing has gotten in there, and that everything is flowing, and that you have good, clean water. Serviceable water that is going to the home. Now, one thing that we may work with our inspector on, and would hope that the neighbors within the area, if we talk about other residential plumbing, such as water sprinklers or anything else like that, before we, come into a residential neighborhood, we may, go with our inspector to see if you can help us out and turn on your water sprinklers to make sure everything is working properly, just so we kind of have a before and after to make sure that there's nothing crazy going on. But yeah, we will flush the lines, make sure that there's no debris. They actually get tested once we actually do the flushing. Kimberly will be part of that testing. We get a third party to come and test the lines to make sure everything's clean, that there's nothing there, before we actually go live and active, and before that water gets into your home. So we try to do everything that we can to ensure that clean, safe water is coming through the lines, and that there's nothing in there that would impact any other water fixtures within your home or on your property.
Thank you, George. Appreciate that. And then in addition to all those precautions that the contractor takes, I think when you get the notice that your water will be shut off temporarily for the connection, that will have some instructions on it. We typically recommend that you turn your water on an outside spigot, just in case anything is in the line, so you can just clear out your service line. So those instructions will be given, and that's just a precaution you can take to clear out your line before the water comes into the house where your plumbing fixtures are. Okay, so this is a part of the meeting where we try to pause and make sure there aren't final questions coming in. Let's see. We don't want to cut things off too quickly, but it feels like we're kind of winding down. We appreciate you all joining tonight, and I hope you have all the information you need and the resources you need just to reach out to us if you have questions during the project. So if I don't see anything coming in, we're gonna cut off here in just a couple of seconds. Ms. England says, thank you for keeping us updated. It is appreciated, and you're welcome. That's our job. So we're here to do that throughout the construction period. Okay, folks, I think this is a wrap. We really appreciate you joining tonight. We have recorded this meeting, so if any of your neighbors weren't able to join, the recording will be up on our project webpage probably within about a week. And so anyone who wasn't able to attend can review and see what the project overview is and hear our questions and answers. And this is not your last chance, of course. Just reach out to us anytime if you need some assistance. And thanks for being here, and I'll say goodnight to everyone. Thank you.